everyone. Welcome to PLD Disc Golf and the post-production coverage of the Greater Peoria Open. Thank you, Jones Trophy and Plastic Addicts, for supporting this event. And this is the conclusion to the two-round event, Round 2 Back 9 at Northwood Park in Morton, Illinois. My name is Payton Drake, and I'll be commentating once again and for the rest of the coverage. Northwood Park has reared its ugly head and taken a bite out of some of our league player scores. The most difficult holes lie here on the back nine, and we'll see how the players respond. I'll mention again that this coverage is produced by volunteers, including my friend Phil Dittmeyer here, and we collect this coverage for your guys' enjoyment. So it seems like Mike here is separating himself by going under par for the front nine, but there's a lot more golf to be had, so with that, let's head on over to hole 10. Alright, a 400-foot par 3. This is one of the infamous holes from the original Golds layout. These players are going to be throwing a variety of shots to get underneath this short ceiling right off the tee and close to the pin, which is elevated a little bit on some rocks. There's a decent shot from Adrian. He gets inside circle to the left of the basket. We'll see what Mike has here for us. A backhand roller. Looks like he gets out the gap and he rolls probably into circle 2.
Thank you.
It's a great shot. Now the scariest obstacle for all backhand shots is the very first tree on the left-hand side of this tee pad. That one right there. It catches almost everyone if they're not perfectly on their release point. So they managed to get Tyler and kick him off left. Let's see what Gary has. Oh, just misses it, but pulls it on a baby Annie, and it begins to flex out. Woo, he is right. That was a great shot. And Tyler pitches out to give himself a long chance at a birdie, but, oh, I'm at a par, and he just pitches up again. Adrian from the edge of circle.
Hey, mister, I need a birdie this hole. Good birdie.
Getting a little confirmation and friendly banter from Gary. Oh.
I'm just trying to hit every part of the basket without making it in.
Gary experiencing more putting woes on this back nine. He's been all over the basket all day. A little low from Tyler there. Mike straddling for his circle 1 bid.
Come on, man. Get up.
Battling on the green as well. Let's see these players clean up. Tap in par from Mike really quick. And another cage shot from Tyler. That is going to be a quadruple bogey, putting him over par for the event. I think he's whittled down all the strokes that he had to give.
Yeah, I still got like 920 or something.
We've moved on to hole 11, a 380-foot par 3. This is a very demanding gap shot here. Just gently moves from left to right. This forehand is a consistent line to get you through the gap. But a backhand's a great shot to park the hole, but maybe not necessary if you've got a good forehand like most of these guys do. We've seen good forehand execution from Mike in previous holes. Let's see if he can execute again.
No.
And he pulls it right into the tree that's sitting right in the middle of the forehand line. You got to get either just left of that or just right of that in order to kind of get the right shot shape for the hole. And
Same thing.
Gary hits it just
The
like
same flip.
like-
Mine was just lower.
And Tyler appears the gap. I think he gets a little bit of an Annie skip and roll. So he's up there. He should have a pretty routine upshot for a par. Mike, the first of our guys to scramble. He's still a ways out and pumps something pretty high. It goes right of the basket. We'll have to wait and see where he's at. Straddle flex shot from Gary, and that is fighting out. Get some ground play. Very well executed shot right there. And once again, woo-wee is right. All right, Tyler. Nice little forehand line. Catches the first tree in the green. That's still going to be a circle putt. He puts that low again. I think Tyler's got to get some fire on the green to start working his way back, but I think it's safe to say that he's out for the running, at least for the top, or for first place. Good putt from Mike, saving his par. Same to be said for Gary. Well done. Pars from this crew. We'll see Tyler clean up as well. Puts it in the cage. And that will be a double, furthering his strokes. All right, hole 12, the beast. This is coming in as, well, before I say it, I believe it's the hardest hole on the course. Yes, the hardest hole. I'm not going to say what that is till we get to the end, just to leave you guys with a little bit of suspense. The word is suspense. Suspicious suspense. All right. Adrian got an unfortunate kick, so Mike trying to stay ahead. He's got to pipe this gap. He pulls it inside. Wow. It looks like he clears the initial gap and gets quite a ways down there. It sounded like he did nick a tree, but maybe that was a favorable kick. Garrett at the backhand. That is a pured line. Very well done. That might be short of the short tee pad, which marks a good line, but he's still got some work to do. And Tyler also gets down the fairway, but he hits a tree and drops him down in the fairway, thankfully.
No.
Oh no. Adrian already off the fairway, off the tee, gets a nick that pushes him back into the rough on the inside, which is, I would even say, even worse. Oh, and he's gone back to the other side of the fairway. But thankfully, and maybe with an opportunity to start advancing over the creek to the second half of this fairway.
Come on, push through. Damn.
Or I'll say the second third, because this in itself is its own unique fairway. Then from this side of the creek to the other side is its own fairway, and then the final stretch over the hill on the next side, on the other side of the creek is its third fairway.
Yeah, baby.
And Mike is executing very well on this hole. Pushes a disc out to the other side of the creek. He will be on the right side, so he'll have to scramble to get to the top of the hill a little bit. And Gary with a good vantage point. This was the perfectly executed tee shot, and a little bit of bad luck there on the second shot.
They need to cut that branch.
Gary once again saying that we need to take some of these branches out of the airspace, and Gary, I agree, but if it's not going to be you and me clearing it out, I don't think it's going to happen. Oh no. And Tyler hits a tree, and that drops straight down into a thick rough that is the creek. Yeah, and like I said, Adrian was able to get a clear look.
Spot directly behind the only in line with the basket. Actually,
Alright, so it looks like Tyler can't find a good place to take a stance, so they're giving him casual relief back to the next playable surface. I have to double check score to see if he took that without penalty, but he's taking it on a straight line back from the basket. Gives it another shot across the creek, and he is in the middle over the creek. Over the river and through the woods. To grandmother's house we go. Adrian piping a shot up to the landing zone just on the top of this hill, right in front of the tunnel of trees that you have to go through. Tyler pulling I think trying to do an Annie shot, doesn't quite get over on it, and that fades a little left of the gap.
You're a psycho, good shot.
And
Come here, psycho. Yeah, you're a good shot, though. Thank you.
Mike also just trying to do the same, get up to the top of the hill.
That's great. Yes.
In the landing zone, Gary executes wonderfully. Alright, and we are now at the top of the hill, the last part of this fairway.
Yeah.
And Adrian executes an amazing shot, hauling on a tactic that had to be about 300 feet from where he was to the basket. I don't believe he got all the way there, but if he did, that was a monster forehand, and that was a good bounce for Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh, and some disrespect from a tree down the fairway. Gary's shot was looking great. Mike going with a little backhand turnover. Pulls it a little right, but that should be up in the circle for a chance at, I believe, the bird. No, the par. Chance at par.
At least that one had a branch in the way, so that one's acceptable.
Now Gary's finding reasons why some of these putts aren't going in. But I understand. All right. And a great par from Mike. You know, I've lost track of strokes on the card, so I don't know what these guys are putting in for, but I will mention that this hole is always a monster, and it came in 2.14 strokes over par. If you got a double bogey on this hole, you are still taking a fraction of a stroke on the field. When I played this couple weekends ago, I myself scored a 10, so they got plenty of strokes on me. But anyway, that aside, we're on to hole 13, a 650-foot, 3-foot par 3. Par 4. My eyes are not working properly, and this is a very demanding hole, like every other hole on this course. But you're wanting to throw...
You go from that hole, and they're like, it gets easy. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, Gary making a comment about the difficulty. You want a right to left moving shot that's gentle, but pushes quite a ways, probably a 400-foot shot to get to the best landing zone in order to pitch over to the pin. Very tough hole to birdie, but a relatively easy one to play for par. Adrian, given that some pop, does let that go a little early, but I think he's cleared enough trees. He's down the fairway quite a way. Oh, and Tyler pulling it far enough. It misses the first tree, but it does end up catching a tree further down the fairway. Keeps him in the open though, so I'd say that's a good break. Mike here, now having to scramble from just probably 80 feet off the tee, if that. Pumps a nice hyzer out there. I think that even may be short of the landing zone, but it's another shot to get you closer. You might have a look to get across the pond sitting in front of the basket. Tyler getting stumped. Tosses his next shot beautifully. That's well done, and that is on the front edge of the landing zone. Basket goes to the right of this gap once you land in it. That was a great shot
I was like
from
debating
Gary.
after that left my hand if it was too tight.
All right, Mike here has a chance to get across for his par. It looks like he's going to give it a chance with the driver. Puts that on good hyzer. All right, and he's liking it. I think that might be inbounds on the other side of the pond. There are some stakes marking this, or marking the OB, which is a little bit higher than the water's edge, as we see Adrian execute a beautiful forehand. He is parked. It'll be a stress-free tap in there.
That's great.
Gary with a little sarcasm. It is great. He's on the other side, not getting an OB stroke. He should be able to give that a good bid.
Gary needs it just like that. Okay, you put it in the middle, it'll stay. Let's try that. Good tap.
Yeah, that wasn't the middle, but we take it.
You know?
No commentary on that one. There was plenty coming from the players, so. Great par putt from Mike. Tyler with a confident putt. It is for bogey, but that was a confident putt compared to a couple holes, so glad to see that he's gotten some of that confidence back in that. And a great birdie from Adrian. That was kind of a silent birdie. I did not pay that close of attention to it, but anyway, we're moving to the second hardest hole on the course on the day, an 893-foot par 5. Luckily, the wind is not high today. If it were, this would be a severe headwind down this gap, making this hole even harder. But
So that one tree that you can see on the left side, where's optimal landing zone in relation to that?
Tree.
You like to be right of that?
80 feet and then fade.
So you want to bomb
You
past
can
that
pop
tree.
it out there like really hard.
yeah, so there are a couple landmarks down this fairway that mark a good tee shot, and that's what they're talking through right now. You got to pump this super straight, pretty much with as minimal fade and turn as possible. It's a nice, I think, a 350-foot shot. And I think that's a good one. He's going to be on the...
It was still a good
Yeah,
shot.
he's going to be on the inside of the turn, which is a hard 90-degree left.
Freaking full-blown walnut on the tee pad with you. That would have been terrible.
I crack walnuts all day, every day, with my feet.
Mike is a master walnut cracker. Oh, and a well-executed backhand from Gary. He and Mike are going to be in very similar places, I imagine. Tyler looking to follow. Gives that some nice height. It might have faded off a little bit harder than the other two, but it is up there. Adrian going to be the first to fight up the fairway. All right, he punches it around the corner a little bit, able to get some ground and give himself a chance at fighting back to the pin for par. I say par, could be a birdie, but... All right, yeah, Mike in a great landing spot, does end up messing up his forehand, and it cut rolls into the right-hand side. Rough. It looks like Tyler did the opposite miss and gives it a little too much height, putting that in the same place. Gary, great look down the fairway. Tries to execute the similar shot, and he's a little low. So you see the variety of forehand shots from all these players. If you're left of the gap, which is very small, you're throwing an anti-flex. If you're right of the gap, you got to throw a hyzer flip up. This is a demanding fairway here. Only one true way to get through. And it looks like Gary does push down the fairway. And Tyler just having to pitch out. Mike gonna try to do the aggressive move and try to get some distance with a forehand roller. Oh, yep, it's up there on the right-hand side. He should have some sort of alley to get up to the basket from there. And a beautiful shot from Tyler. Yeah, that's up there, I believe, close to circle 2, if not in circle 2. Yeah, great shot. Yeah, and once again, another good shot. So, you know, sometimes there's just silence because you end up saying the same thing multiple times as you go down a long, arduous hole. And I feel like enough has been said about it. These players are fighting as hard as they can to get to the pin to minimize strokes lost. This fairway is difficult, as is the green. It is protected around circle's edge by more than enough trees. And a great par putt from Mike. Takes 1.34 strokes on the field. So this is definitely coming in as a very difficult hole.
That's what it feels like to put the putt in the middle?
Yeah, baby.
Oh,
And Gary commenting, saying that that's his first putt that's in the middle. So, confident putt from Adrian as well.
It don't matter at this point to me.
And that is incredible for the entire card to only go +1 on the last hole. No birdies on that. If you got a par, that was the best score of the day. We've moved on to hole 15, a 650-foot par 4, probably one of the signature holes of the original Golds layout. They did add a shorter pad for the Blacks layout, so that is where the FPO field will be playing this year. Definitely cuts a good amount of difficulty out of the hole, but it's still pretty fun to play. Same fairway, same sort of difficulties, but we'll see how Mike can carve this one up.
Oh, fuck. What a kick.
And an amazing kick.
I do not ever see that happen.
I'll take a quick moment here to bounce back to the last hole. There were only 3 holes on the day. Or 3 holes. Bars on the day. One was our Chris Relaford, Josh Lowe, and Mike was the only other par. That was very wrong. Those were the pars for hole 12. Only 3 pars for hole 12. And there were a good amount of pars for hole 14. So hole 14 playing significantly easier than hole 12. But anyway, let's move to the present. We were talking about hole 15, a couple OB strokes, I think. Tyler having to scramble to get up there for his par. Throws a nice forehand flex. He's probably just outside of circle 2 with that. That was a great shot from where he was. Mike trying to execute a similar shot. Doesn't get over on it quite enough and puts it really low. It fights to the right side fairway.
You can go back further if you want. That's on the line of the basket.
You can go back to the seaside if you want.
Gary gonna be executing a similar shot.
I saw Zach Finwell one time go V over there and he parked with a flick. And I was like, what? Wow. Dude has a monster flick.
Well, if you think he's got a monster forehand, you have a great forehand yourself. So that was a very good shot. And a good forehand here from Adrian. I think he's playing this hole pretty cleanly. He may not be getting all the distance he wants on each shot, but he is playing this clean. Let's hope it stays that way on his approach. Good hyzer on this. Yeah, puts it up there on the green. It'd be an easy par for him.
You're not black because actually the streamline are both different.
And Tyler also putting one in the bullseye. That'll be a tap-in bogey for him. And Mike going really easy on that forehand. That seemed kind of strange. He got his arm and body really involved and then just kind of like let the disc fall out of his hand. It worked out. Just very unique. Great pop from Gary. Excellent par save. And once again, that was not in the middle, but this time the basket decided it would stay.
I have video proof that I got them down from like 3.
And that will be our hole 15 for the crew. So with that, let's move on over to hole 16. Let's say kind of a, I was going to say a breath of relief coming here, but for Adrian, it's going to be another surprise. But this is a really downhill shot, just a really fun one to kind of rip a fairway driver or putter or mid-range, anything in between, just to get down to the pin. It's fun to watch these discs fly. Looks like Mike hangs that one out to left, catches some of the canopy, and that'll drop him short and left.
When I was like 13 over, I was not having it. I was just so pissed. I chucked it as hard as I could. That's so good, Gary. It slipped right out of my hands.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
He's on the front face of this ravine. That's going to be some interesting footing and an interesting second shot. Tyler executing a pretty nice forehand. He gets a long ways down there. He will be circle's edge short on the right-hand side of the basket.
No. It's a putt.
Yeah, it was hard for Phil to get to a good spot to actually film this because the hillside would have posed as a big problem for him. He could lose his balance and potentially lose his life, but he kept himself safe. It may not have been exciting for us, but we'll have more coverage now. Adrian fighting his way up the fairway. I'll say up the creek. He's fighting his way up the creek, which is casual. Mike just pitching up a routine. Any forehand. That'll be an easy tap in
The
par.
basket, and that's the first dry place, then I think that's the correct way to play it.
Like, thinking back there, but then there's also like.
If you want to putt from the bridge, you can.
I do want to putt from the bridge, so like.
I think you could argue that the bridge doesn't count and you could take it from here if you wanted to. However, I think there's a case for both. Do whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll take it here. This bridge putt is fine. Too.
Good pop from Adrian.
Outside the circle? Yeah. Okay. I don't even know if I can jump, but
And Gary, being where he's at's got some very weird footing. Can't see the basket. Just going to try to put one up and in.
dang.
He gets it up there in the bullseye. That'll be a bogey for him. Ooh, and a good run from Tyler. These guys will clean up some really short putts for a few pars and bogeys.
Me too. But it's my fault because I missed two putts at 15 feet for birdie. So technically I should have 18 right now.
Yep, so shout-outs to birdies on this hole and last. We got Bronson Minton and Rich Klein on birdies for hole 15, and Andrew Majerus, Austin White, Chris Relaford once again, and Thomas Malone on hole 16. And with that, hole 17, 320-foot par 3. This is the creek hole from the Golds layout. Can be a nice turnover shot on the left-hand gap, which is where Phil is looking down, and that was a beautifully executed shot from Mike. He is in circle, looking for birdie. All these players looking to execute a very similar shot to that, I believe. Tyler does end up kind of hugging the right-hand side of the gap. Oh! And gives it a run. That could have gone in.
Yeah.
Adrian actually looking on the inside gap, I think. Gonna try to throw a forehand. Yeah, looking for a little flip up. He pushes down and
I think that's in. Probably scooched.
yeah,
There's OB past the bridge.
we'll just have to see where it's at.
That's too much angle. Cut roll. Hey, I think I'm good. I've never tried that shot before.
And Gary trying some
I'm gonna
new
not mark it
things,
so
gets
I
a
can,
cut roll away from the
have more
OB.
distance. That's not even close. It's like a good layup, but
Very good layup. No stress, par.
Gary doing all my work for me. Do I need to be paying you now? I'll pay you what I was paid. All right, Adrian. Oh, puts his putt left. And they'll tap out for his par. Tyler for a birdie. Oh. Still birdieless, as he says.
Smart man.
Mike with an excellent birdie.
And through this, and I've never done anything but the matrix turnover line.
This hole is averaging very close to par at a 3.17, so not too controversial for most of our players. This is falls as one of the easier holes on the course.
Shot on this hole, and I would ace-run it all the time, but then I started going long.
So with that, these guys will close out the course with hole 18, a 703-foot par 4. And I also want to thank Dalton Sackett, the TD, for reaching out and asking if I could be the media sponsor. So happy to be able to be in that position. Enjoy putting this coverage together. And it's one of the many reasons why I love the sport. So thank you, Dalton, for helping me get my name out there. You see, on this hole, you want a right-to-left moving shot, so that hyzer from Mike will work pretty well. This shot from Tyler's a little inside. I think he catches a tree there at the end of the flight. You kind of want this to push straight before it fades off to the left, but a very tough shot to get to the perfect landing zone.
Is that past the landing zone?
No, it's a little short. I'll have a chance. I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah, so Adrian and Gary, uncertain of where Adrian landed, trying to figure out
Get lucky. Go around it, please.
where the best place.
Oh, that's so bad.
That is so bad, because if you're in the early right-hand side before the landing zone, you just have to pitch up.
Go. Go.
And if you don't get to the landing zone, it's going to be a really tough shot to execute to get down the fairway to even try to get your par. So Gary will be scrambling. And Tyler, a little on that inside, like we said, pitches up. I think that's a decent spot. He probably would have wanted to be a little bit further up. Oh, and Mike getting aggressive, trying to execute a roller, just clips one of those trees on the hillside. But it puts him down right in the middle. He might have an opportunity to get up and down for his par.
Oh my god, I think that's par.
And Gary, I think, executing a anti-flex. That was well done. I didn't see where it landed, but well done. Yeah, Adrian kind of pumping a forehand anti-flex into the hillside.
That's good theory.
Let's see if Tyler can execute his upshot here. This is a pretty tough shot. It's slightly uphill. You have to fight the crest of this hill. And where this landing zone is, it's about a 300 to 350 foot shot, depending on where you're at in the landing zone. And that is really tough to do, to get a disc to just barely crest this hill and push without being too nose up. It's a really tough shot to execute. So yeah, these guys are finally on the top of the hill, just executing some nice up shots like Adrian. Oh, Tyler getting caught up with the last couple trees. Oh. And a slight bid from Mike there. It's going to be an easy tap in for his bogey, which will put him at -12 for the event and -1 for the round. And a great run from Tyler. He got that chain high. The basket just didn't want to hold on to it. However,
I was like, what?
Mike coming in at -1. Hot round. It's the best round out here, I believe. And it will net him the win. We'll see him tap out here in just a minute, but Gary trying to clean up. Experiencing some putting woes. I would have liked to see
I mean, that was really awkward putt.
Gary's round if
I could have
every
that one
putt
there,
that hit metal went
I'd be
in.
like, I can live with my life.
That would be an exciting round.
Big pressure putt. Oh, he cans it.
Yeah, and Mike for the win,
Thank you.
giving some knuckles to his card mates. That's a great win. And that wraps up the 2022 Greater Peoria Open. Final scores here. Mike Sale coming in at first place. A Californian, not even local. But congrats to you, man. If you're watching, happy to have you here in the area, as well as everyone else here on the leaderboard. Adrian squeaking in to second with his -6, and then Rich and Colin tying for third. What an event. Thank you guys for joining us, and I hope to give you guys more coverage like this in the future.